माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, mind, sensory and motor organs and the life force all become powerful and capable. All is verily the one absolute, all-pervading reality, the Brahman. May I never deny this truth. May this truth never reject me either. May all the virtues necessary to experience this truth in life be with me. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our all-pervading, blissful, ever perfect and free true self. And let us hold on to that awareness which tells, I am everything. I am timeless, spaceless. I am bliss itself, being free from all desires. I am free from all darkness of ignorance. I am light itself. peace absolute. I am eternity. Om. Peace. 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 So, dear friends, let us begin the 16th class of this Upanishad, which brings the deep essence of Vedanta, combining all different paths which are told, like the Jnana Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga, Raj Yoga, Karma Yoga. All these have been beautifully woven in this Upanishad. And we shall begin today's study with our usual chant. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishvavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we be protected together. May we be nourished together. May we attain strength together. May our study make us illumined. May there be no dislike between us. Om, peace, peace, peace. So last time we saw this 12th verse of the second chapter. The second chapter is about the practice, that how the various propensities in our life to be controlled. The spiritual life is basically a life in which we have to control the propensities born out of ignorance. We are Brahman. There is nothing to do about it. That is our true nature. That is only hidden because of the ignorance, and this ignorance manifests in our life in different desires and tendencies, attachments and so forth, and thus our true nature gets hidden. We consider ourselves to be limited to this little body, this flesh and blood and so forth, and thus miss the joy and the peace and keep on seeking it, running after it all the life and not getting it. So, this Upanishad tells the practical way that begin. Everybody is welcome who is desirous of the practice. We all have our weaknesses, and that is not a condition that you should not have any weakness to begin. Yes, we can begin at any stage, but then we should evolve gradually. We should not remain as we are. That is how in journey, wherever we begin, but if we are traveling, then our position gets changed. Otherwise, I am not traveling. So, it is the spiritual practice is this transcendence of our present limitations through the intense practice. And the practice has to be intense, dedicated, so that there will be some meaning. It is not just a kind of superficial something that will not lead to any actual transformation. It is like only sitting in the car doesn't mean driving. Only turning the engine on also doesn't mean going forward. It is you have to put it in the right gear, start the car. If you have put it only in the neutral gear and are pressing the accelerator, what happens, Richard? It won't go any far. It will create lot of noise though. So, lot of spiritual practice is like that. Lot of externals, lot of noise, that yes, I do like this. You put a big sandal paste mark on your forehead, spend hours in some worships and this and that, put on the many different types of rosaries around your neck. They are all good if they are going to take us forward. If we are going to remain where we are, then it's no use absolutely. This is what this Upanishad is telling, that you pranan prapiddhi sanyukta cheshta. This is the verse that we earlier read. Now this one is also that what we read last time, that prithvyap tejo nikhile samuthite panchatmake yoga gune pravritte, that all aspects of our personality, like the 5 elements, and which constitute our whole being, that is the gross body and the subtle body. It is constituted by the 5 elements. The elements like the vision, the hearing, the touch, the sense of taste and sense of smell. All these are products of the 5 senses. And the 5 elements that precede that. From 5 each of those elements, I am not going into the details, but what happens is each breaks into 2. One forms the sense organ and another the object of the sense. So, they fit into each other quite okay. like a stick. If you break, then the two pieces will fit into, their angularities will fit into each other. So similarly, each element is kind of broken, and the eye therefore is one part, the vision is another part, and they fit into each other. So therefore eye sees. Ear has other capabilities, other angularities which fit into it. So howsoever beautiful is the scene, you cannot see it with ear, it is, you have to have eye for it. And wonderful may be the music, you cannot enjoy it if you have ears plugged. So you need this ear organ of hearing for that. So this is how these five elements, they constitute our life in this world. So that has to be brought into the yoga discipline. Right now they are in the bhoga discipline, means they run after the enjoyments. Whatever they feel, see, oh, I like it, oh, this is so good, and then you run after that. Oh, this will be so good, let me grab this person, we will live together a very happy life forever. So you run after that, and thus miss the direction of yoga, go into bhoga. So this is the life of external enjoyments that needs to be changed. It is, the whole thing needs to be changed, reversing of the brain chemistry, friends. It has to be reversed. It is just as you do when you know you are driving to the east, when you needed to drive in the west, towards the west. When you realize, you change the direction, you change the route. It happened the other day. I was driving and I did not put on my GPS, and so I took the wrong direction, and I realized after a mile or so that from Cranston I am driving towards further Warwick and so forth, instead of coming back to Providence. So as I saw I am going in the wrong direction, I took an about turn, came in the right direction and got then. So we have to see that we are not getting freedom, we are not becoming really blissful and peaceful by pursuing this path. In fact, we are going further and further away from the goal of complete total freedom, total bliss, total peace. And thus we have to change the direction of this life. There is no way, by just externals will not help, that it is, you have to internally transform these things, and that is the nature of spiritual practice. So yoga gune, all these five elements have to be now infused with the spirit of yoga, and thus we will see this, then the transformative impact of that in our life. The brain chemistry reversal means the brain is now trained to something beautiful, enjoyable, grab it. Something that I know tastes very nice, go and put it in the mouth. All such things that the senses, this is such a smooth and soft touch, let me have this. So all the organs, they are trained like that, but now it has to be reversed. it was all a wrong practice that we have been going into. Now reverse it. Without reversal, this we will not be on the right track basically. So, this is the spirit of yoga has to be infused in every of these sense organs and the actions that are prompted by those. So, therefore, you see there will be a change of life externally and internally. The life of a yogi becomes very different from the life of a bhogi. It is the internal change which reflects in the external life. It does not mean externally something very, very different you will observe. Oh, ordinary bhogi people, they walk on the legs, and so this yogi starts walking on the hands. That is not what you will see. The yogi will also walk on the legs. It is the difference is where you go walking. What?
Are you saying bogey?
Bhogi, yes. Well, one way of spelling is Bhogi. B for boy, H for house, O for or, G for God, and I. So, it is bhogi. That is how the difference is there, that internally you will be using all your organs, but in a very different way, in the reverse direction. So, that is how yoga gune pravritte. And then what happens? Now you are walking on the path of enlightenment. So, there is no, the bhoga automatically brings what is called roga, means disease. When you go for the external enjoyments, all those objects that you go to enjoy, they take a toll upon you. You get in various types of diseases and ailments due to that. It is now when you are going to yoga, your life will become purer and purer, and thus many of the diseases that normally a person gets, they get avoided. It is all of us suffer from various sicknesses, and then many of them are connected with leading a reckless life, connected to enjoyments, so called enjoyments. And then therefore, bhoga leads to what is called roga. It is Shankaracharya says in his one of the very I should say spiritually elevating hymn, that it says that what happens that you go after the enjoyment of these senses, and then paschat, after that your body gets ravaged by diseases. That is the result of all this. So, therefore, when you go in the reverse direction, not that the natural processes of body, like you will get affected by certain things, that will be there, but still it will not be a disease of that type. So, you will not feel impacted by disease. Moreover, the real import in this is that the diseases will not touch your progress in this spiritual life, because even if it comes, you continue with your spiritual practice, because you see that you are on the right track. So, it does not matter. So, no old age will matter, there won't be any death that will matter, you will continue in spite of all these. And then praptasya yogagni mayam shariram, very beautiful phrase, that it is your whole body will be transformed. It is the body made of the fire of yoga. It will be fired by yoga. You will see the change in that person. And they all the Raj Yoga book, Swami Vivekananda mentions those. That Patanjali also has mentioned how even the appearance of your face will change. It will show the inner glow more and more. It is not that you will apply some of those beautifying things, or what is that they inject these days? Botox. Yeah, so it is. That is not that is not the beauty that will shine. It is a yogagni mayam shariram, that this body becomes now illumined by the fire of yoga. And thus you see that the inner happiness shines forth, the inner composure and that restraint, everything, the thinking becomes more composed, more you see, it encompasses many things together harmoniously. It is not propelled by certain impulses now. It is more organized. Life becomes much more organized. You put the priorities in places, in the right place. It is all that happens. So, it is yogagnimayam shariram, praptasya yogagnimayam shariram. That is how the life will be. The further effects are indicated in this thing, that this is the translation. When the fivefold perception of yoga arising from concentrating the mind on earth, water, light, air and ether have appeared to the yogi, then he has become possessed of the body made of the fire of yoga. Now these words are used, but one has to feel the idea behind it, that and he will not be touched by disease, old age or death. Then further things will, the secondary expressions of this will come in life. Laghutvam arogyam alolupatvam varna prasadha swarasaushthavam cha gandha shubho mutra purishamalpam yoga pravrittim prathamam vadanti. The first primary preliminary signs of yoga are described. It is said that the first signs of entering yoga are lightness of body. This is obvious, health, thirstlessness of mind, clearness of complexion, a beautiful voice, an agreeable odor, and scantiness of excretions. This is all they start appearing in one's person. It is that like the first thing, that the body feels light, because you are not stuffing yourself by food that one eats through greed. You like, for example, I like to eat many things, all those different types of sweets and other oily and fried preparations, and I eat them without any restriction. I know that no, I should not eat that, and I tell myself from tomorrow I will look into that. Today let me eat all this. And now what happens to the body after that? Can't do much work now, it is feels tired. Even the regular ordinary work becomes difficult, what to speak of spiritual practice, taking mind to a higher level is not easy then. It is the body becomes stuck to all these external things more and more. But yoga, you will eat according to the need, not according to the greed. It is, that is, then the body will automatically be felt light. And then you will not find it difficult to sit to do spiritual practice. So, this is the laghutvam. It is, you won't become a fat fellow because the life is being led in a very restrained manner. So, arogya, health, thirstlessness of mind. The mind keeps on normally hankering after various pleasures. It propels the activity of so-called running after enjoyment, and one gets stuck in that. So, this is how the thirst keeps on increasing and increasing by enjoyment. One should realize it, that in a little time one should be able to see this, but we are so dumb that we do not get this, that I went to get this enjoyment. I went to see the Super Bowl, and then what? Okay, did the thirst for enjoyment go away? No, it still is the same, rather it increases, like the example given is that if you pour fuel to fire, the fire is not quenched, it is not put out, it goes further flares up. So, the thirst further flares up, and seeing this, one should notice this, and therefore know that we are making a big mistake. So, stop it. But what we do normally is only temporarily change the so-called object of enjoyment. Okay, maybe I didn't get enough enjoyment by going to that Super Bowl this year, and my team lost finally, that dejected me further. So, next time I will go to see basketball, whatever it's the, what is it called, basketball final, like here you have Super Bowl, there is some other bowl for basketball, no, close enough, okay, okay. So, something like that. So, I go for that, and same thing, you then all other enjoyments you go to, then they become also habits. That the hankering increases. Last year's Super Bowl was not good because I didn't have my friends with me. This year we will all go together and enjoy nicely, take a packet of popcorns or whatever, big box of them. So, that is how we change the object of enjoyment, but the process is same, it is like the running the car. When I was running the car, it went in wrong direction, probably because I put it is the gas from Shell. Let me put the gas from Cumberland Farm, then it will go in the right direction. That is not the case. What, Naomi? Does it then automatically go in the right direction? No, the fuel, that gas from this gas station or that gas station has nothing to do with it. The thirst increases. It doesn't change. And that is so logical. But we are terribly illogical people. It is, we boast we should be rational, we should be logical. If we are really rational, scientific, logical, we have no choice but to follow this path of yoga, path of spiritual life. It is only when we are irrational, illogical, unscientific, then we go to follow the path of sense enjoyment. It is very, very important therefore to learn these things, that it is then what happens? The clearness of complexion. This is an effect that is seen, that the person becomes, the complexion becomes clear. Not that that does not mean any dark color person starts practicing and become immediately the after some time fair complexion. No, they will remain dark complexion, or somebody is and one should not conclude that because my complexion is fair, I must be practicing yoga. Not at all like that. It is what it means is that the clarity of mind gets expressed in one's physical appearance as well. The inner light, as it were, shines forth. It cannot be really explained or demonstrated that, okay, come on, look at my body, I am practicing yoga, and then you will be able to measure the light coming out in lumens. No, not like that. It is not of that type. It is a different idea. Then an agreeable odor, and then because the lack of sense enjoyments, running after them, creates many different responses in the your physical body, and so all these things come, and scantiness of excretions. What has this got to do? You know, you eat only what is required. Moreover, the whole process becomes so efficient that all the nutrition is extracted. So, only a very little amount therefore gets thrown out. It is something that Sri Ramakrishna also commented upon. His observation was tremendous. It is, he said, in India those days, the pigs, they were the scavenger animals, you know. The people would do the excretions there, number one, number two, anywhere, and then the pig would go and clean it up. It is, that was the job of the pigs. So, it is, but now Sri Ramakrishna mentions that the pigs do not touch the excreta of a yogi. Now, how did he go to observe? But obviously, he makes this observation. And the reason is, there is nothing for the pigs, no nutrition, all nutrition has been taken out, used by the body. So, therefore, there is nothing left out there. So, that is the nature of the whole personality. So, that is how it has been described here. But these are the primary signs, and these are to be just taken as maybe the initial steps. Also these are not to be taken with as if these are defining principles. Oh, I have been practicing spiritual life, this yoga for last 4 months, and still my complexion has not changed, so I am doing something wrong. No, it is none of these things are to be taken that it is and then voice, and the our irritation in the mind comes in the voice also. A person's, when normally person speaks, the irritation in the mind gets expressed in the voice as well. Now there is no irritation in the mind, so that the calmness of mind also gets reflected, expressed in the voice. So this is, I met one of my acquaintances after about 15 years or so. I had left home and hearth and joined the order, and even though I am not doing much of spiritual practice or anything, when I spoke to that man again, we used to be very closely connected and would always have a long chat. And then after our 5 minutes conversation, he remarked, "Hey, how your voice has become so sonorous, mellowed down and all that. It is, what happened? How your voice has become like this?" Say, well, I don't know what has happened, and I have never noticed that there is any change. But since you have noticed, it might be this thing, the effect. Swami Vivekananda says that yogi will never have a voice that is harsh and shrill and painful. It is the idea is the inner calmness, and a lack of irritation gets reflected in one's voice as well. Oh, again the same thing came, sorry. And then what happens? The process of cleanliness goes on. It is we are Brahman, only the dirt accumulated through ignorance is getting cleaned up. So, whatever they think, that is yathaiva bimbam mridayopaliptam tejomayam brajate tatsudhantam tadvatmatattvam prasamikshya dehi ekah kritartho bhavate vitashokah. Just as the same metal disc which was stained by dust before shines brilliantly when cleaned, so the embodied being, seeing the truth of Atman, realizes oneness, attains the goal and becomes sorrowless. Just cleansing. This example has been used in Upanishads many times, that it is the process of just cleaning, removing the dirt, that's about it. It is in Ishavasyopanishad commentary of Shankaracharya, it is told, look, sandal wood, as such it is fragrant, but if there is some bad odor and all those are put on it because of being in some place, lying in that surrounding for a long time, then although sandalwood is naturally fragrant, what we get is not fragrance, but the bad odor comes out of it. So, but you just then rub it, let all those that dross go away, and then the natural fragrance of the sandalwood starts coming up. So, exactly like that, our true nature of bliss starts showing up. Our true nature of being completely free starts shining forth. So, this is how it happens that embodied beings seeing the truth of Atman realizes oneness, attains the goal and becomes sorrowless. This is how, as the process of cleanliness, that cleaning this top covering of ignorance goes on, more and more of the inner shine will start appearing forth. It is like the silver. Silver gets very easily stained in the atmosphere, especially in the warm and humid climates. So, when it gets stained, it does not shine with that luster. Rub it and then well, polish it, rub it, and then the inner shine just comes up. When I went to see one steel factory that in India, so that I was told where that steel was getting manufactured. It was a big cauldron like thing, huge, and then all the ore was being smelted, and then they were going there putting on very, very thick dark glasses, because the luster of the metal was such, you cannot withstand that hot metal luster. It is so because the metal has natural that luster. It is when it gets covered by so many things, then you do not see it. Similarly, our true nature, that all the shining light within is not perceived. All our that original nature of being free, full of bliss and full of peace, that gets covered. But when that covering is gone, that dust is gone, then you see that I am Brahman, I am Brahman. That Abhijit was once cleaning, we had that pan, and then that pan has become so dark, black, and I thought that that is the color of it, that it is black. But he knew, no, it is bright underneath. I will show you. And he kept on working on it for a couple of days. First, when a little thing came off, then I saw, yes, it is like that. It seems to be bright. Then he rubbed and cleaned. If anybody wants to do, it is black again. So you can see that it was shiny bright. So it is, even though our personality appears to be totally dark, we doubt whether there is God in me or not. Maybe there were some special people in whom God was there, but I do not see anything like that in my behavior, in my state, that like Charlie complains, I am sorry, also full of suffering all the time, why? So it must be, I must be different than Sri Ramakrishna, who used to be blissful all the time. So how can I take a cue from that Sri Ramakrishna. I suffer, he doesn't suffer. We are different in appearance. Where are you different, Charles? In appearance. Only in appearance. Inside there is no difference. Just rub. Instead of bhoga, go to yoga. Instead of adding more of that black suit on it, start rubbing whatever it is. And then the same person, oh wow, I am Brahman, will stop identifying oneself with all that silly I am body. See, are you this dirt? What do you mean? Calling yourself this heap of this flesh and blood and urine and stool and what not. Am I that bag of skin in which all these things are filled? See, I am not that. I am the supreme divine being, ever free, ever perfect. This is my true nature. And so what we need to just do, all that we need is cleaning. This process of cleaning is called yoga. Never confuse yoga means standing on the head or doing this posture, this asana and that asana. They have their own use. I am not criticizing that, but that is not the essential aspect of yoga. Essential aspect of yoga is to bring out our true lustrous personality, the Brahman that I am. Through yoga you see that I am divine, I am Brahman. So the next verse tells that as this process goes forward, that what happens? The idea about who am I changes. Yadatma tatvena tu brahma tatvam. I love this verse. It is ever since I read it first, maybe about 40 plus years back, and this has become so important and so elevating for me. Yadatma tatvena tu brahma tatvam dipopameneha yukta prapashyet ajam dhruvam sarvatattvairvishuddham jnatva devam muchyate sarvapapaihi. When the yogi realizes the truth of Brahman through the perception of the truth of Atman in this body as a self-luminous entity, then knowing the divinity as unborn, eternal and free from all the manifestations of Prakriti, he is freed from all sins. It is the words really are the translations. After all, they are very weak in this particular context. We have to feel the deeper essence in this, that yadatma tatvena, where this practice culminates. Yada means when. It is the word, because we do not have any better word, we have to say when, but it is not said in the context of time. It is the change of state, because the time vanishes. The time is gone, time, space in which we live, that whole thing is gone, that whole thing is product of ignorance. So, it is not when I will become illumined, the time will go away, there is no time sense at all. Time is a product of ignorance. There is no time in illumination. So, the word when is only used because of our language limitations, the ignorance is gone. Then what happens? The sense of I that we have, that we associate with the body, I am this, that will change, and I will associate it with God. I am divine, I am Brahman. It is through ignorance that I am this body, I am being buffeted by nature, I get sick all the time, I feel terribly depressed, what should I do? All these things will be gone completely. I am Brahman. This instead of identifying with body, you will identify with Brahman. Yadatma tatvena tu Brahma tattvam. The practice culminates there. It is the practice must go on steadfastly till then. Till one realizes this goal should not stop, as Swami Vivekananda mentions, stop not till the goal is reached. It is a very, very important thing that you will see that you are all-pervading reality. It was not that Swami Shivananda was asked, how are you doing? And he was in a meditative mood like that, and I am fine, what is wrong? I mean, why are you even asking this question? Oh, about body, well, the body will be like that, what is there? It is just as you don't identify with your car. Do you say that I am Honda Vishwanath? No, that is the car, Oh, why your car is making noise, not me, that is you don't identify with the car. So body is just a car. I am not it. I am not that. So this is something that one has to bring to our awareness. So the awareness changes like that. You become then free from all things because of the wrong identification. If your car, the paint is gone, a little bit here and there, you think that your paint is gone. No, that is the car, it is, you are not BMW or Honda or Toyota or whatever it is. You are free from all that. You are similarly free from the sense of I am 5 feet tall or 6 feet tall. I am not 6 feet tall, it is the body that is 6 feet tall. Just as I am not Honda, that is the car is Honda. It is the body is not I. The body is 6 feet tall, maybe whatever, but I am not 6 feet tall. This is the sense that comes to us. So this happens in 3 different stages, just for description, that you begin with this faith, I am potentially divine. Each soul is potentially divine. Swami Vivekananda mentions that I am divine, and begin the journey. The goal is to realize that divinity. Do you all agree? That I am divine. The goal is to realize this divinity. This is to be what? Charlie, do you agree or not?
When I get there, I'll have the confirmation.
That is true, but are you walking or not for that? Yeah. So that is the faith, that yes, I am divine potentially. I am potentially, that I have that potency to manifest this inner divinity. And then you move forward towards that goal. you are walking on the path, that is yoga. Now you see that spot, black spot now, that was away from the goal, you see inside, you start feeling that I am permeated with divine, I am in God, God is in me. This is a tangible experience that one gets, that yes, I am interspersed by God. It is that, and then you come to this stage that I am divine, beyond time, there is no distinction now. When there is time and space, you cannot avoid distinction. There will be distinction, that is the meaning of time and space. When no time and space, no distinction means no time and space, no time and space means no distinction, no separation, no two, all the enumeration is gone. So, this is how the journey proceeds and concludes. So, we shall, this chapter still continues, another two very inspiring verses are there. We shall try to see those in our next class. I will now, let us meditate for 30 seconds. If you have any questions after that, feel free to ask. Yes, please. Any question? Is there any question there? Okay, okay. Yeah, Naomi has a question. Okay. You can do that means to whom do you say? Huh? Yeah, it is. It is. It may have significance. If we, the question is very interesting. That sometimes we refer to our mind, identifying with it as I can do that. When we objectify that and say to ourselves, but as if it is another person, hey Naomi, you can do that. So, it is they both are there, depends, if the awareness is right. The second thing is more likely to succeed. Instead of I can do that, hey Naomi, you certainly can do that, because many of us do expect a lot from others, about ourselves we can, we are too considerate. So, oh, I am, but hey, why don't you do it, you see? So, that becomes helpful. It is like that. So, it is, if Jitendra says that I will do it, then it is up to me whether I do it or I don't do it, it is all right. But, hey Jitendra, do it. Then that has more effect if he himself objectifies himself and says, hey, you fellow, what have you been doing? Just sleeping and whiling away your time in nonsensical things? Come on! Then, okay, that's a very important distinction. Sorry, it took me some time to understand your question. Yeah, but that is certainly an important point. Thank you. Yes, Charlie. See, you inspired him also.
You say we're not rational beings.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have this thought that maybe we're making a mistake in some fundamentalist religion
Yes, of course. See, there is. I had suggested many people when to read a beautiful, very explanatory lecture of Swami Vivekananda. That is, the title is Instinct, Reason and Intuition. It is better to be rational than being whimsical and instinctive and like that, impulsive. Rationality is certainly better than that. But therefore, let us make our behavior rational. It is very much better than being irrational and impulsive and so forth, that is the first step. At least be rational, but becoming rational and boasting to be a rational, actually not being rational, are two completely different things. Very rarely you see a person who is to a great extent at least rational. As I mentioned, if you are rationalist, you have no choice but to take up the path of yoga and spirituality. Otherwise, you are not rational. It is so simple that it is the true rational people like a Buddha, very rational, and sees that everything else is evanescent. Why should I run after that? Impossible. That is irrational to run after that which is unreal. So, it is rational is to go for the real. It is so simple. So, if one is rational, very good, not to be irrational. But then rationality has its limitations. The rationality is not going to give us the divine, the God. It is the rationality will take us out of this instinctive, impulsive animal life. Animal life is instinctive, therefore animals do not commit any sin at all, because they do not have the faculty. What can they do? But human beings, they have the rational faculty that they must use. At least be human, if not divine, so be rational at least. So, it is like that, be rational. Our behavior is terribly irrational. Even in very big university professors of logic, in their classrooms they are rationals. When it comes to their life, most of us, they go by likes, dislikes, not rationally. It is so very difficult to be a rational. It is a big step to be a rational person. Yes.
So, there is spirituality and then you're involved in, say, yoga. Then that helps having a healthy psyche and a healthy body. But also we see that with great yogis, they have terrible diseases.
Yeah, great yogi. See, Sri Ramakrishna was, you can see the example. So many diseases, every now and then he will be sick. But that is when the purpose of the body from that angle is over. These are therefore described as these beginning signs. Afterwards they are not important. It is great yogis, what does it matter? They have gone beyond the awareness of body. For them, these things do not matter in the least. It is in the beginning, it is told that you have to do that. Like our tabla teacher used to tell that, okay, hold the hand like this, sit like this, put the finger like this. No, don't sit like that, sit like this. And then I saw a famous tabla player was not worried about sitting, he was sitting like that, and then I asked, look at him, and even sometimes I see you putting fingers differently. And he said, well, after you become expert, then you sleep and play tabla, that is all right. You don't have to even sit. So, these are in the beginning, this is all to be observed. Then the need of the body, the disidentification happens, then nothing of this matters, you see. See how many diseases Vivekananda had. It is this rheumatism, lumbago, diabetes, what not, you see. So, but when you do not have identification with body, that does not then play any role in that. Therefore, prathama, this is the first beginning signs of a yogi, that instead of this terrible identification, that identification is loosening up. The propensities that were working through the body, they are changing. These are the beginning signs of that. They don't mean anything after you see that you are not body. It doesn't make a difference then. The two things are completely different. Huh?
In addition to that, great yogis like Sri Ramakrishna didn't have any karma bhoga, which means like taking over others' karma bhoga is also.
Yeah, that is one explanation is given like that. That the disease of many of those like Sri Ramakrishna, that was because they took upon themselves the sins of the others. Sri Ramakrishna himself says that all this cancer, it is because of that. So, it is certainly that is possible by them. It is not possible for ordinary people to do like that, but it is only in such states when okay, instead of this body, let it be taken on this body, because Sri Ramakrishna is not going to suffer because of the bodily disease. He is not suffering. It is body, it is not that. It is that is how they are free from that idea of I am body. So, that should not be confused with the signs that come in the beginning. These are the signs only at the beginning, not as one gets into any advanced stage. It doesn't then matter at all. In Leela Prasanga, Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play, and there are many examples of Sri Ramakrishna eating a huge quantity of food. Unbelievable. A human being can eat that thing. Something that would be even difficult for 4 people to finish, he just ate it. And without any adverse effect on his body, because that is a very different thing, that state. It is so those things should not be compared with this prathama, the beginning signs of a yogi, that lagutvam, arogyam and all that. It is, they are far past these preliminary things. Oh.
Namaskar, what does it mean to be freed from all sins? Does it mean bondage?
Please use the microphone so that I can hear, or scream loudly.
Namaskar, what does it mean to be freed from all sins? Does it mean bondages?
Your microphone is not on, I think.
Okay, let me repeat. Namaskar.
Ah,
Namaskar, what does it mean to be freed from all sins? Does it mean bondages?
oh yes, to be free from all sins. And sin is an action that is done out of ignorance. What is sin? You do not know, and so you think that this is what will bring me pleasure, so you do it. That is sin. Here sin does not necessarily mean some big crime, some felony that somebody has committed. That is not the meaning of sin here. Any action that is not according to this knowledge that I am Brahman, I am divine, every action that is against this knowledge is called therefore sin, something that is done out of ignorance. And that is how Jesus says, "O Lord, forgive them," they were crucifying him. And he says, "Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing." So out of ignorance they are doing like that. Somebody said that prayer at the time of that a priest was officiating for, he was not really a priest, but the priest had gone somewhere, so that wedding has to be done. So the priest told, say some prayer, whatever prayer, and then this fellow just took the Bible and opened, whatever you say, okay. And this thing was there, he read that, "Oh Lord, forgive them, they don't know not what they are doing," you see. So it is out of ignorance whatever you do is therefore called sin. So that is all gone because the ignorance is gone. So you become free from all sins because the very basis of sin is ignorance. No ignorance, no sin. That is how it is meant. So let us conclude with the closing prayers. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.